everyone, happy Saturday. And this is Ashley from Living the Luring Life. We're on day 11 of our Pound a Week challenge and all the other challenges that I've decided to take on for the new year. So I'm going to be super raw and honest with you guys tonight and share my number one New Year's challenge. Actually, it's not the Pound a Week challenge, it is actually to stop yelling at my kids. That's right. So I think I am a closet yeller, and I tend to really get onto my kids a lot more in private. And I think all of us kind of do that, right? Like we put our best foot forward in public. And so for me, my kids would be at church. I'm like, okay, it's time to go. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's go. Let's go. But at home, it's like, okay, guys, let's go. Let's go. Where are your shoes? Where are your shoes? And I would just lose my cool with them more and more. And I think I got really bad about it towards the second half of the year, because once you start yelling and they tend to respond to that, it's just so much easier to do what's working. And so it was working, so I just kept yelling. And for me, it was doing such bad things to myself. My blood pressure would be raised, and I instantaneous mom guilt, like while I'm yelling at them, like instantaneous mom guilt. And so I would feel bad and guilty like while I'm yelling and after it's done, because then they just look so dejected. I felt like God removed remove these blinders on me, and I was seeing my children almost the way hopefully the way that God saw them, and I was just seeing them so dejected and so hurt and low self-esteem, and I felt like I was giving them ulcers and anxiety and all this stuff. They were losing their cool with each other and less patience with one another. And I just knew that this was something that I had to get a handle on. And I saw my growing up, I was yelled at because I was being disobedient and not listening, and my mom was working full time. And so it was just easier to yell because that's when we would respond. And I just want to break that with my kids. I don't want them to be yellers at their children because that's my grandkids. And I just want to be that example. And if mom ain't happy, nobody is happy. And so I would just keep losing my cool, and just all of them were just kind of falling apart. So God gave me some scriptures that I'm going to share with you guys tonight that have really been helping me. One of them is Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. And with a couple of my kids, I would yell at them and they would do what I say and just get quiet and look sad and dejected, but they were doing what I said. And a couple of the others, I would yell at them and their tempers would flare and they would get mad. And I just was really thinking about it, like, how do I feel when I get yelled at or I get disrespected? That makes me, I tend to fight back more. I tend to think of, all the reasons that I am being disrespected and they are treating me wrongly, and how dare they. That's my personality that I also need to work on. A couple of my kiddos have that same personality, so their tempers would flare up even more. And so it didn't help the situation by yelling at them. It just made matters much worse. Then there was crying, and it was just awful. And then I'm more upset because now they're crying and it's a whole deal. The other one is Colossians 3:12 and 13, and I'm going to read just Colossians 3 and 12. Since God chose you to be the holy people he loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And patience is something hard to pray for, because if you're praying for patience, God's going to give you a situation that you need to have patience for, and it's not our initial flesh that wants to respond with patience. So it's something that is a learned habit, but I have really been working on it, and I'm on day 11 of not yelling at my kiddos. I had a prime opportunity on the way home from school on Friday. Annalie just lost it on the way home. I don't even know why. She got in the car and told me her head hurt. She had a headache, and we were on our way to go see Andrew because he was leaving for California from work. And so I was like, well, we're going to go say bye to Daddy, and I'll take you guys to go get a treat. And while we were talking to Andrew, she just started having a full-blown tantrum. 5 years old, picked her up from kinder, and she was like kicking the chair and screaming, and I couldn't even understand what she was saying. And I was like, well, Annalie, I can't reward this behavior with the way you're acting. Tell me what's wrong. And my head hurts and I want to go get a tree and we're not leaving right now. And she was just, I mean, like thought she was going to break the harness on her car seat, like lost it. And my old reaction would be, well, that's it. When we're getting home, you're going straight to your room and maybe a spanking and da da da. And I'd just be yelling at her in order to calm her down, which doesn't help the situation. Like, it doesn't help. And instead, I was just super quiet and said, Annalie, we're going home because can't get us sweet for acting the way we are. And we went home and she just continued to have a meltdown, threw herself on the floor. I mean, like, movie worthy tantrum, like seriously, like Oscar award winning. And when we got down to it at the end, like I finally realized that she hadn't had her snack for school that afternoon. Her head hurt. She's 5. She doesn't know how to react. She doesn't know how to communicate quite right. She needs to get better at it. Like, don't get me wrong. And I mean, she can't get rewarded for that behavior. But at the same time, there was something more going on for it. She had had a long day. She was super exhausted and tired. We were talking to Daddy. Normally, we don't go see Daddy right after school. And it was Friday. They always get a treat on Friday, going home from school. And so it was a combination of a bunch of stuff. And once you got her alone and separated from everybody else, she was able to communicate those things a lot better, calm down, apologized, all of that kind of stuff. But I never once lost my cool about the situation, because all that is matching tantrum for tantrum. So I'm having a tantrum by yelling at her, and I'm just showing her it's like we don't hit and then you smack them on the head. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm hopefully going to get better at this. If you guys will pray for me on this journey, I need to kind of feel like say, hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm on day 11 of not being a closet screamer, because I just want to be that example to my kids. I want so desperately for them to love God and be great workers for His kingdom, and I don't believe there's going to be a bunch of screamers up in heaven, so I would like to do a lot better at it. So if you guys will continue to pray for me, if you have any tips on how you stopped yelling at your kids or how you never started. I know for sure 2 people at least that said their mom never yelled, which I just is mind-boggling to me. Like, how do you do it? But I'm doing it. I'm on day 11 and I haven't yelled at my kids in 11 days. That doesn't mean that I say get your shoes. Like, there's a difference between raising your voice at them and yelling at them. There's a huge difference. And I might need to raise my voice at them because they can't hear me. I might need to raise my voice at them because they got distracted. And so I'm like, remember I said to get your shoes is different than me saying, get your shoes. Totally different. So, and I wasn't doing that all the time, but it was becoming a habit. And so that is a habit that I want to nip in the bud and just break right now. On top of, I did get up and work out this morning before my kids went to their first Bible quiz meet. Benjamin rocked it. He got first place in like one little quiz match. Not overall, but in one quiz match he got top quizzer. And in all honesty, he got it because the other team was, I think they like answered so many wrong, and then he answered a really high point question right. So he ended up winning. So good job, Ben. And then Annalie did really well too in their first quiz match and learning all the rules. It's a lot. They're learning a lot of verses right now, and I'm super proud of them. I'm super proud of all of our little guys. Super excited for Andrew to come home tonight. He went to a funeral today, and so he should be home in a couple of hours, and we'll be back at this together. So continue to pray for us, and we will see how this goes. And our Pound a Week challenge, got all my steps in yesterday and today, and just eating a lot better. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great night.